When did you discover your fiancé had a different name? The wedding dress receipt fell from Marcus's jacket pocket like a confession written in silk and lies. $3,200 for a dress I'd never bought, in a size I'd never worn, from a boutique I'd never entered. My hands shook as I stared at the date, March 15th, 2024. 3 days ago. 3 days while I was finalizing our own wedding menu, someone else was buying their wedding dress with my fiancé's credit card. I should have put it back. Should have pretended I never saw Sarah Chen's name printed in elegant script across the receipt, never seen the note scrawled in Marcus's familiar handwriting. For my beautiful bride, can't wait to make you Mrs. Davidson forever. Mrs. Davidson. Not Mrs. Torres, like I was supposed to become in 3 weeks. My legs gave out, and I collapsed onto our cream-colored couch, the one we'd picked out together at West Elm 6 months ago, the one where he'd proposed with his grandmother's ring, spinning stories about family heirlooms and true love. Now I wondered whose grandmother's ring it really was. If there even was a grandmother. I'd come home early from my job at the marketing firm, excited to surprise him with the final headcount for our reception. 237 guests, including his family from Ohio that I'd never met but had dutifully sent invitations to. His excuse was always the same: they were old-fashioned, private people who didn't do video calls or social media. I'd found it charming, even romantic. What an absolute fool I'd been. My phone felt like lead in my hands as I googled Sarah Chen engagement 2024. The results hit me like a physical blow. There she was, beautiful, smiling, very much engaged to someone who looked exactly like my Marcus but went by the name David Davidson. The photos were from 2 months ago. While I was tasting wedding cakes and debating between roses and peonies, he was proposing to someone else. I scrolled through her Instagram with sick fascination. There was David at her birthday party in February, the same weekend he told me he was visiting his sick aunt in Cleveland. There he was again at some corporate event, arm around Sarah's waist, both of them beaming at the camera. The caption read, "So proud of my fiancé for closing the Henderson deal. Hashtag power couple, hashtag almost Mr. and Mrs. Henderson deal." I knew that name. Marcus worked in insurance sales, or so he told me, for 2 years. But the Henderson Group was a major real estate development company. I'd written their marketing campaigns last year. With trembling fingers, I searched David Davidson Henderson Group. LinkedIn pulled up his profile immediately. David Davidson, senior real estate broker, specializing in commercial properties. 5 years with the company. Married status, complicated. Married. He was already married. I ran to our bathroom and threw up everything I'd eaten that day, which wasn't much to begin with. Wedding planning had killed my appetite for weeks. Now I understood why my subconscious had been rejecting food. Some part of me had known I was swallowing lies. When I could finally stand again, I walked back to the living room like a zombie. The receipt lay on the coffee table next to our wedding planning binder, mocking me with its innocent white paper and devastating truth. Our joint bank account statements were scattered nearby. I'd been reconciling our wedding expenses when I'd found the receipt. Our wedding expenses. Except apparently, he was planning 2 weddings. And I was about to find out just how many other secrets Marcus Torres, or David Davidson, or whoever the hell he really was, had been hiding from me. 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, I was supposed to marry this man. Like hell, I was going down without a fight. I spent the next 4 hours dissecting our entire relationship with the methodical precision of a forensic accountant. Every bank statement, every credit card bill, every receipt I could find scattered around our apartment. The life I thought we'd built together crumbled with each new discovery. The $850 monthly payment I'd assumed was his student loan? It was alimony to someone named Rebecca Davidson in Phoenix. The work conferences that happened every other weekend? They lined up perfectly with charges at hotels in 3 different cities where, according to my frantic Google searches, he maintained addresses under variations of his name: Marcus Torres in Seattle with me, David Davidson for his real estate job in Sarah Chen, and Michael Davis for God knew what else. But the worst revelation came when I found the email account. Marcus had left his laptop open on the kitchen counter, something he never did. Usually, he guarded that thing like it contained nuclear codes. Now I knew why. His Gmail was logged in, and while I'd never snooped before, what a trusting idiot I'd been, desperation made me click. The inbox was a masterclass in compartmentalized deception. Separate folders for each identity, each life, each woman he was destroying. My folder was labeled Seattle/Emma like I was a business transaction. Sarah's was Portland/Sarah. Rebecca's was Phoenix/divorce shit. But there were more. Ashley in Denver. Melissa in San Francisco. Jennifer in Sacramento. All recent. All ongoing. I clicked on Sarah's folder first, my masochistic curiosity overriding my self-preservation. Their email chain from this morning made my stomach lurch. "Baby, I can't wait for our honeymoon in Tuscany. Just 2 more weeks until I'm officially Mrs. Davidson. Mom wants to know if your family is still coming from Ohio." His response, sent while I was at work picking up our wedding rings: "Can't wait either, beautiful." And yes, the Ohio relatives will be there. My cousin Marcus sends his regrets though, work stuff. You know how it is. Marcus sends his regrets. He was talking about himself in the third person, like Seattle Marcus was some distant relative who couldn't make David's wedding. The sick genius of it hit me. He'd created an entire fictional family tree, probably telling each woman slightly different stories about relatives who couldn't attend their weddings. I was betting Rebecca in Phoenix had heard all about cousin David who was too busy with work to visit. I scrolled further back and found the real gut punch. 3 months ago, Sarah had emailed about wedding venue deposits. The same weekend I put down $5,000 of my own money for our reception at the Fairmont Olympic Hotel, she'd sent him a picture of their venue confirmation for a place called Zenith Vineyard. $23,000. That's what Sarah's wedding was costing, according to the budget spreadsheet she'd lovingly shared with her fiancé. My wedding budget was $18,000. Apparently, I was the economy package. But Ashley in Denver? Her folder showed a wedding budget of $31,000 for a mountain resort ceremony scheduled for May 15th. 2 weeks after my wedding date. 1 week after Sarah's. He wasn't just a bigamist. He was a serial wedding scammer running multiple cons simultaneously. My phone rang, and Marcus's name flashed across the screen. For a moment, I considered letting it go to voicemail. Then I remembered that Sarah Chen was expecting to marry David Davidson in 2 weeks, and Ashley, whatever her last name was, thought she was getting a mountain wedding with Michael Davis a week later. I answered on the 4th ring, proud that my voice only shook a little. "Hey babe," he said, and I could hear traffic in the background. "Running late tonight. Client dinner ran long. Don't wait up. Client dinner. Or maybe another proposal. Maybe wife number 6 was getting her ring tonight. No problem, I managed. See you later." I hung up and stared at his laptop screen. Time to figure out exactly who I was really dealing with. I created a fake email account and started reverse searching every name, every address, every phone number I could find in Marcus's digital life. What I discovered made my blood run cold. Rebecca Davidson in Phoenix wasn't just an ex-wife receiving alimony. She was very much married to David Davidson, according to Maricopa County records. Their marriage certificate was dated 2019, 2 years before I'd even met Marcus. Which meant every single one of us was the other woman. But Rebecca wasn't some innocent victim. Her Facebook profile, once I found it, told a different story. Photos of lavish vacations, designer handbags, a BMW in the driveway of a house worth at least $400,000. Her recent posts were all about my husband's business trips and supporting his career growth. She knew. She had to know. I dug deeper, my marketing research skills finally useful for something that mattered. Property records showed David and Rebecca owned 3 rental properties in Arizona, all purchased in the last 18 months. Their joint bank account, the one he'd never mentioned to me, showed regular deposits from multiple sources, including a monthly transfer of $2,800 from the account I shared with Marcus. My money. My contribution to our future together was funding his real wife's lifestyle. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely type, but I kept going. Jennifer in Sacramento's Instagram showed pictures from last month of her fiancé Mike at some charity gala. She was wearing the same necklace I'd admired in Marcus's bedside drawer, the one he'd said was a surprise for me. Her ring, displayed prominently in every photo, was identical to mine down to the vintage setting. He was buying the same engagement ring over and over again. Probably in bulk. The charity gala photos led me to the event's website, and there he was in the attendee list, Michael Davis, Principal, Davis Investment Group. I searched the business name and found a legitimate-looking website, complete with testimonials and a Sacramento office address. According to the About Us page, Michael Davis had 15 years of experience in wealth management and specialized in high-net-worth individuals seeking discreet financial solutions. Discreet. Like hiding money from multiple wives. I screenshot everything, my laptop screen becoming a digital crime board of his deceptions. But it was Ashley's folder that finally broke me completely. Ashley Morrison, 26, a pediatric nurse in Denver who posted pictures of the kids she cared for at Children's Hospital Colorado. Her emails to Michael were filled with genuine sweetness, updates about her patients, worries about her student loans, excitement about their upcoming wedding at some mountain resort that was costing her every penny of her savings. Her last email, sent yesterday, made me physically sick. "Michael, I got the final catering bill and it's $800 more than quoted. I know you said not to worry about money, but I had to pull from my emergency fund again. I've never spent anything like this before, but you're worth every sacrifice. Can't wait to start our life together. The kids at work keep asking to be flower girls, you're going to love meeting them." His response was a form letter. I recognized it because he'd sent me nearly identical words 6 months ago. "Don't stress about money, beautiful. Our wedding is an investment in forever. I'll handle the extra costs." But Ashley's banking information, carelessly included in another email about vendor payments, showed the truth. She'd emptied her savings account, maxed out 2 credit cards, and taken a $15,000 personal loan to pay for this wedding. While he was telling her not to worry, he wasn't contributing a dime. I pulled up our joint account and cross-referenced the dates. Every time one of his wives made a major wedding payment, Marcus deposited just enough into our account to cover his half of our expenses. He was using their money to fund his other cons, including mine. The apartment buzzer jolted me back to reality. I glanced at the clock, 9:47 p.m. Marcus never came home this early when he claimed to have client dinners. Through our window, I could see him on the sidewalk below, but he wasn't alone. A woman was with him. Tall, blonde, expensive-looking coat that probably cost more than my monthly salary. I watched from our 3rd-floor window as Marcus gestured animatedly, his hands moving in the same way they did when he was excited about something. The woman laughed, tossing her hair back, and even from this distance I could see her checking her phone before showing him the screen. My blood turned to ice. I knew that laugh. I'd heard it echoing from his laptop speakers 2 months ago when he'd claimed to be on a work video call. He'd shut the laptop quickly when I brought him coffee, saying it was boring insurance stuff. The woman pulled out a set of keys to our building. She had keys to our building. I grabbed his laptop and frantically searched for any mention of a blonde woman. There, buried in a folder I hadn't noticed before, labeled building management. Email after email with someone named Victoria Castellanos, and the subject lines made my world tilt sideways. Lease renewal for Unit 3B, additional key requests, noise complaints resolution. Unit 3B. Our unit. But according to these emails, Victoria Castellanos was the primary leaseholder, not Marcus. The lease I'd signed 8 months ago, the one where I'd proudly added my name next to his as co-tenants, it was fake. I scrolled through their correspondence with growing horror. Victoria owned this apartment. Had owned it for 2 years. The emails were friendly, flirtatious even, discussing our space and keeping up appearances for the temporary tenant. The temporary tenant who was apparently me. A key turned in the front door lock. I slammed the laptop shut and shoved all the papers under our couch cushions, my heart hammering against my ribs. Footsteps echoed in the hallway, but there were 2 sets. Marcus's heavy work shoes and the sharp click of heels. "Told you she'd be asleep by now," Marcus was saying as they approached our door. "Emma's always in bed early on weeknights. Very predictable schedule. Very predictable." Like a pet's routine he'd memorized. I dove toward our bedroom, flicking off the living room lights as I went. In the darkness, I heard our front door open. "God, I've missed this place," the woman, Victoria, said. Her voice was sultry, confident, nothing like the uncertain tone I'd been using around Marcus lately. 2 weeks felt like forever. I know, baby. But the timeline's almost over. Just a few more weeks and we can stop this whole charade. I pressed myself against the bedroom wall, leaving the door cracked just enough to hear them clearly. How's the Mark handling the wedding stress? Victoria asked, and I heard our refrigerator open. She was making herself at home, grabbing a drink like she lived here. Because apparently, she did. Emma? She's perfect. Completely bought into the whole romantic fantasy. The joint account is up to $47,000 now. She deposited her savings from selling her grandmother's jewelry last week. Sentimental value made her think it was more special. My grandmother's sapphire bracelet. The one I'd inherited and sold to help pay for our wedding flowers. I'd cried when I'd handed it over to the jewelry buyer, but Marcus had held me and promised our wedding would be worth the sacrifice. And the Phoenix situation? Victoria's voice had an edge now. Rebecca's getting suspicious about the monthly transfers, but I got it handled. Told her I'm investing in a new branch office. She's actually excited about the passive income potential. They both laughed, and the sound was like glass scraping against my bones. What about the others? The nurse in Denver seems sweet. Victoria's tone was mocking now. Ashley's the easiest Mark I've ever run. Completely trusting, keeps apologizing for not having more money to contribute. Her wedding loan clears next Friday, should net us about $12,000 after expenses. Us. They were partners. And Portland? Sarah's convinced she's marrying up. Tech money makes people stupid with their finances. Her daddy's wedding gift alone will cover our Cabo vacation. I bit down on my fist to keep from screaming. I pressed myself deeper into the shadows as their conversation continued, my heart pounding so loudly I was sure they'd hear it through the walls. What about timing? Victoria asked, and I heard the clink of wine glasses. 5 weddings in 6 weeks is ambitious, even for you. It's all about the deposits, babe. Emma's venue requires final payment this Friday, that's 18 grand. Sarah's caterer wants their money Monday, another 12. I just need to keep them all believing until the check's clear, then we disappear. My knees buckled. Final payment was Friday. I'd been planning to transfer the money Thursday night, excited to cross that major expense off our list. Our wedding was in 3 weeks, but he was planning to vanish in 4 days. The new identities are ready? Victoria's voice was moving closer to the bedroom. I scrambled toward our walk-in closet, praying the floorboards wouldn't creak. Carlos finished the documents yesterday. Marcus Torres and David Davidson will officially die in a car accident next weekend. Very tragic. Very final. And very lucrative. What's the final take? I heard papers rustling, probably the same bank statements I'd been studying earlier. Conservative estimate? $230,000, minus expenses. Phoenix Rebecca's been the biggest cash cow. She's been funneling her trust fund into our investment portfolio for 2 years. But Emma's been surprisingly profitable for a short con. Short con. I was a short con. The grandmother jewelry thing was genius, Victoria continued. Nothing like sentimental manipulation to open wallets. Did you really tell her it would make the wedding more meaningful? She cried when she sold it. Actually thanked me for helping her prioritize what really mattered. These romantic types are pathetic. I'd been so proud of myself for selling that bracelet. So proud to be investing in our future, in our love. The way Marcus had held me that night, stroking my hair while I'd grieved the loss of my last connection to Grandma Rose, telling me she would want me to be happy. Speaking of romantic, Victoria's voice was right outside the bedroom now. When do we tell dear Emma the truth? I'm getting tired of pretending she doesn't exist. Friday night. After the venue payment clears but before the weekend. I'll tell her I have to go to Portland for an emergency, family crisis or something. By Monday, we'll be in international waters. International waters? The cruise, remember? We're sailing out of Vancouver Sunday morning. 12 days through the Panama Canal to Miami, then a quick hop to our new life in Costa Rica. By the time any of these women realize what happened, Marcus Torres will be legally dead and we'll be drinking piña coladas under our new names. The bedroom light clicked on. I pressed myself into the back corner of our closet, behind the wedding dress I'd bought 3 months ago. Through the crack in the closet door, I watched Victoria Castellanos examine our bedroom like she was conducting an inventory. She was stunning, tall, elegant, with a kind of confidence that came from never doubting yourself. Her blonde hair was perfectly styled, her makeup flawless despite the late hour. This wasn't someone who sold family heirlooms to pay for wedding flowers or apologized for not having more money to contribute. This was someone who saw people like me as profit margins. God, her taste is tragic, Victoria said, picking up the framed photo from our nightstand, the one from our first vacation together to the San Juan Islands. Look at this cheap frame. And these sheets? What is this, a college dorm? Marcus appeared in the doorway, loosening his tie. Don't be cruel, Vic. Emma's sweet. Just, limited. Limited bank account, you mean? That too. But she's been useful. And she really does love me. The way he said it, like my love was some quaint curiosity, made my vision blur with rage. I gripped the closet door frame to keep from charging out there and clawing his eyes out. You almost sound guilty, Victoria said, and I heard the bed creak as she sat down. On my side. The side where I'd been planning what flowers to carry down the aisle just this morning. Not guilty. Just, it's different this time. She's not like Rebecca with her daddy's money or Sarah with her tech salary. Emma actually works for everything she has. Makes it feel more. More what? Real? Victoria's laugh was sharp. Marcus, honey, you're not actually catching feelings for Mark, are you? A long pause. Through the crack, I watched him stare at our photo. Of course not. It's just been longer than usual, that's all. 2 years of playing house. Sometimes I forget which personality I'm supposed to be. Well, remember fast. Because your little Seattle girlfriend just became a liability. My blood went cold. What do you mean? I mean she's been asking questions. My contact at the building management company called this afternoon. Emma Torres came by asking about lease histories, rental payments, who's been on the approved visitor list. She's getting suspicious. I had never been to the building management company. I'd never asked any questions about lease histories. But someone had. Someone using my name. That's impossible, Marcus said, but his voice had changed. Gone was the casual cruelty. Now he sounded worried. Emma doesn't even know your name. She thinks I'm the primary tenant. Well, someone claiming to be your fiancé was there at 2 p.m. asking very detailed questions about Unit 3B. Including why there have been monthly payments coming from 3 different bank accounts for the same lease. 3 different bank accounts. Mine, and apparently 2 others. He wasn't just stealing our wedding money, he was using all of us to pay Victoria's rent. Shit. Marcus started pacing, and I could see his shadow moving back and forth past the closet. Shit. If she knows about the other payments. She knows, Marcus. The question is how much she knows and what she's planning to do about it. Maybe it wasn't her. Maybe it was someone else, another tenant or 5'6", brown hair, works at Morrison Creative Group, drives a 2019 Honda Civic with a small dent in the rear bumper from when she hit a pole in the Whole Foods parking lot last month. I had hit a pole last month. And I'd told Marcus about it over dinner, laughing about how I'd been distracted thinking about wedding centerpieces. He'd been so sympathetic, so concerned about whether I was hurt. He'd been taking notes. How do you know all that? Marcus's voice was tight now. Because I've been watching her, obviously. Jesus, do you think I'd let you run a long con without proper surveillance? I've known Emma Torres' schedule for 6 months. Coffee at Victrola every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30 a.m., grocery shopping Sundays after her yoga class, that pathetic girls' night with her friend Katie every other Friday where they split 1 bottle of wine and talk about wedding planning. She'd been watching me. For 6 months, this woman had been studying my life like I was some lab rat in an experiment. So if you've been watching her, you know she's not the type to investigate rental payments, Marcus said. Emma's not suspicious. She's not smart enough to be suspicious. Victoria stood up, and I heard her heels clicking against the hardwood floor. People change when their fairy tale is threatened, Marcus. Maybe she found something. Maybe she's not as stupid as you think. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting we move up the timeline. Tonight. My heart stopped. Tonight? Victoria, the venue payment doesn't clear until Friday. If I disappear before, forget the venue payment. We've got $47,000 in the joint account, another $18,000 sitting in her personal savings. I checked this afternoon, she can transfer it all tonight if she thinks there's an emergency. What kind of emergency? Victoria's smile was audible in her voice. The kind where her beloved fiancé gets arrested for fraud unless someone posts bail immediately. The room went quiet except for the sound of my own blood rushing in my ears. You want me to fake an arrest? I want you to create urgency. Panic makes people stupid. Tell her you've been falsely accused, that you need money for a lawyer, that if she doesn't act fast you'll lose everything. She'll empty every account she has access to. And then? Then Marcus Torres has a tragic accident on his way home from the police station. Grief-stricken fiancé finds him gone forever, but the money's already been transferred to an account that'll disappear with him. The plan was elegant in its cruelty. I hugged my knees to my chest in the darkness of the closet, listening to them refine the details of my destruction. What's the story? Marcus asked, and I could hear him opening our dresser drawers, probably packing while they talked. Simple. You got pulled in for questioning about some investment irregularities at work. Completely false accusations, obviously, but the arrest is real and you need $15,000 for a lawyer by morning or they're filing formal charges. 15? That's not even half of what's available. We start with 15. Once she transfers that, you call back more panicked. The charges got upgraded, now you need 30 for bail. Then the lawyer needs a retainer. By dawn, every account will be drained and Marcus Torres will be dead in a single car accident on Highway 18. Highway 18. The same route he took every weekend for his supposed visits to his sick aunt in Cleveland. I wondered how many times he'd driven that road, planning his escape routes. What about timing with the others? Marcus was moving around more now, and I heard the distinctive sound of his suitcase zipper. Sarah's expecting me in Portland tomorrow for cake tasting. Text her that you're sick. Food poisoning or something. That gives us 48 hours before she gets suspicious. Rebecca thinks you're in Seattle all week, and Ashley's not expecting Michael until Friday. Ashley. The pediatric nurse who was using her emergency fund to marry a ghost. And after the accident? Victoria's voice moved closer to the closet, and through the crack I could see her examining my jewelry box on the dresser. She picked up the earrings my sister had given me for my birthday, held them to the light, and tossed them back with obvious disappointment. After the accident, I become the grieving girlfriend who was secretly living here. I'll have documentation proving Marcus left me power of attorney before his death. Carlos is finishing those papers tonight too. I inherit his half of everything, including life insurance policies he took out using each woman's personal information. Life insurance policies? $500,000 each. Beneficiary listed as his domestic partner, Victoria Castellanos. Amazing what you can accomplish with social security numbers and forged signatures. They had my social security number. They'd taken out life insurance policies using my identity, with her as the beneficiary. When Marcus died, Victoria would collect $500,000 in my name, times 5 women. $2.5 million. Jesus, Vic. When did you set those up? Months ago. Rebecca's been active for 18 months, yours and Emma's for 8 months, Sarah's for 4, Ashley's for 2. All the premiums get automatically deducted from your various joint accounts, which means these women have been paying for their own death benefits without knowing it. My monthly bank statements. The recurring charge I'd asked Marcus about 6 months ago, the one he'd said was identity protection insurance. I'd been paying premiums on a life insurance policy that would pay his real girlfriend when he faked his death. And no one will think it's suspicious that the same woman is beneficiary on 5 different policies? Different insurance companies, different states, different versions of my name. Victoria Castellanos, Victoria Chin Castellanos, V.C. Morrison, Vicky Davidson, Victoria Torres. By the time anyone connects the dots, we'll be permanently relocated with new identities. Victoria Torres. She'd been planning to become his widow using my last name. Marcus laughed, and the sound made me want to vomit. You really have thought of everything. I always do. now call her. It's almost 11, late enough to seem like an emergency, early enough that banks will still process transfers. I heard him pick up his phone, probably the same phone he'd used to call me babe just 2 hours ago. My phone was in the living room, silenced but visible on the coffee table next to our wedding planning binder. She's not answering, Marcus said after a moment. Text first. Build the panic slowly. I knew I had maybe 30 seconds before they noticed my phone wasn't ringing in the bedroom. 30 seconds to get from this closet to the living room without them hearing me, to grab my phone and pretend I'd been asleep on the couch. But as I started to move, Victoria's voice stopped me cold. Actually, wait. I want to see something first. She walked toward the closet. I pressed myself as far back as possible, behind my wedding dress, behind the shoes I'd bought for our honeymoon, behind the life I thought I was building. The closet door handle turned. What are you doing? Marcus asked. I want to see how the mark lives. What kind of person falls for your act so completely? The door opened wider, and light spilled in around me. Victoria stepped inside, her expensive perfume filling the small space. She was less than 3 feet away, examining my clothes with the same disdain she'd shown my jewelry. God, look at this wedding dress, she said, touching the hem of the gown I'd spent weeks choosing. David's bridal? Seriously? I've seen prom dresses with better construction. She pushed the dress aside. I stopped breathing. Victoria's hand brushed against my shoulder through the wedding dress fabric. I closed my eyes, certain she'd felt the contact, certain this was how I'd die, cornered in my own closet while listening to the details of my financial murder. But she just pushed the dress further aside, muttering about cheap polyester blends. Vic, come on, Marcus called from the bedroom. We need to move on this. 1 second. I want to see, oh, what's this? My heart stopped. She found the shoebox on the top shelf, the one where I kept our early love letters and photos. I'd hidden Marcus's spare laptop in there last month when mine was being repaired. Just Emma's sentimental stuff, Marcus said, but his voice had changed. Nothing important. Victoria pulled down the box, and I heard the laptop shift inside. Sentimental stuff worth hiding in the back corner? She's private about that kind of thing. Embarrassed about being romantic. Please don't open it. Please don't open it. Victoria stepped out of the closet, taking the box with her. Through the crack in the door, I watched her set it on the bed and lift the lid. The spare laptop sat on top of a stack of printed emails, the ones I'd discovered earlier and thought I'd hidden under the couch cushions. In my panic, I'd grabbed some but left others. Marcus, Victoria's voice had gone deadly quiet. Why does your sweet, trusting fiancé have printouts of your correspondence with Rebecca? The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. What do you mean? I mean she's got emails here dating back 6 months. Bank transfers, property records, even screenshots of Sarah's Instagram. Victoria held up one of the papers. Look at this, she's made a fucking timeline. I had made a timeline. Color-coded and cross-referenced, tracking his different identities across cities and bank accounts. My marketing background had kicked in automatically when faced with complex data. That's impossible, Marcus said, but I could hear him moving closer to see the evidence. Is it? Because according to this timeline, Emma Torres figured out you were David Davidson 3 days ago. She's got your real estate license number, your Phoenix address, even Rebecca's maiden name. Emma doesn't know Rebecca's maiden name. I never told her anything about Phoenix. Then explain this. Victoria held up another paper, one I definitely didn't remember printing. Property deed for the Scottsdale rental, with a note in what looks like her handwriting, bought with my grandmother's bracelet money? That wasn't my handwriting. But it was my grandmother's bracelet money. Marcus grabbed the paper. This isn't Emma's writing. And she doesn't know about Scottsdale. Someone does. Someone's been investigating you for days, Marcus. Someone printed out Sarah's wedding budget, Ashley's hospital employment records, even my lease agreement for this apartment. I hadn't found Victoria's lease agreement. I'd found emails about it, but never the actual document. Victoria, Emma didn't do this research. She's not capable of this level of investigation. Then who did? Victoria's voice was sharp enough to cut glass. Because according to the timestamp on these printouts, someone was using your laptop yesterday at 2:47 p.m. Right after you left for your supposed client dinner. Yesterday at 2:47 p.m., I was still at work. I didn't get home until after 6, and Marcus's laptop wasn't here when I arrived. He'd taken it with him, claiming he needed to finish a presentation. Maybe you left it unlocked somewhere, Marcus said, but he sounded shaken. Maybe someone at the office. Your laptop never leaves your sight, and you know it. Someone's been in this apartment, Marcus. Someone with access to your computer, your email, your files. Victoria walked to our bedroom window and peered out at the street below. Someone who's been watching us the same way we've been watching them. The realization hit me like ice water. Someone else was investigating Marcus. Someone else had been in our apartment, printing evidence, leaving it where I'd find it. We need to go, Marcus said suddenly. If someone else is onto us, if they've already gathered this much evidence. We're not going anywhere until we figure out who's been playing detective. Victoria's voice had turned predatory. Because whoever it is, they know enough to destroy everything. She picked up another paper from the box, one that made my blood run cold. A printed email I definitely hadn't seen before, dated just 6 hours ago. Marcus, or should I say David? Or maybe Michael? We need to talk. I have everything. The bank records, the fake identities, the insurance policies, all of it. Meet me tomorrow at Pike Place Market, 3 p.m., Northwest entrance. Come alone, or I send copies to all 5 women and the FBI. A concerned friend. Someone's blackmailing us, Victoria said. That email wasn't in my sent folder, Marcus said, grabbing his laptop from the kitchen. Someone else sent this from an external account. I watched him frantically typing, checking his email, his browser history, his recent documents. Vic, this doesn't make sense. If someone's been investigating me for days, why leave the evidence where Emma could find it? Victoria's eyes narrowed. Unless Emma finding it was the point. They both turned toward the closet. Unless someone wanted to make sure dear Emma knew exactly what kind of man she's marrying, Victoria continued slowly. Someone who needed her to discover the truth tonight while we were here discussing our plans. My phone buzzed from the living room. Then again. Then again. Someone's texting her, Marcus said. They walked out of the bedroom, leaving me trapped in the closet with my heart hammering against my ribs. I could hear them in the living room, could hear Marcus picking up my phone. Emma, you're in danger. Get out now. Trust no one. Marcus read the message aloud. Sent from a blocked number. Another buzz. Check your email. I sent you everything you need to know about Marcus Torres. Victoria laughed, but it wasn't amused. Well. It looks like someone's trying to save little Emma from the big bad wolves. My phone buzzed again. Police are already involved. Evidence has been submitted. Get somewhere safe and wait for contact. The room went silent. Then Marcus said the words that made my world shift completely. Victoria, I think we've been played. The silence stretched for what felt like hours but was probably only seconds. Then Victoria's heels clicked rapidly across our hardwood floor. Pack everything. Now, she snapped at Marcus. Whoever's behind this has been planning it longer than we have. But the blackmail meeting tomorrow is obviously a trap. Victoria was moving fast now, and I could hear drawers slamming. Think about it, Marcus. Someone plants evidence for Emma to find, times it perfectly with our conversation tonight, then sends her warnings to get out. This isn't some concerned citizen trying to save her. This is someone who wanted us to reveal our entire plan while they listened. My blood turned to ice. Through the crack in the closet door, I could see Victoria standing in our doorway, phone pressed to her ear. Carlos? We need the documents tonight, not tomorrow. Yes, I know what time it is. We're blown. How fast can you have new identities ready? She paused, listening. 3 days? We don't have 3 days. Someone's been feeding information to the FBI. FBI? The text message had mentioned police, but hearing Victoria say it made everything more real. More terrifying. Marcus appeared in the bedroom doorway, his face pale. Vic, what if we're overthinking this? What if Emma really did figure it out on her own and someone's just trying to help her? With property records from 3 states and insurance policy numbers? Marcus, Emma Torres couldn't investigate her way out of a paper bag. We profiled her for months, remember? Sweet, trusting, completely naive about financial crimes. Victoria ended her call and walked back into the bedroom. Besides, look at this. She held up my phone, showing Marcus something on the screen. These text messages? They're coming from a VPN that bounces through 4 different countries. Amateur victims don't use international proxy servers to send warnings. Professionals do. A VPN. Someone was using sophisticated technology to contact me, which meant this wasn't some random good Samaritan. What kind of professionals? Marcus asked. The kind that set up elaborate stings to catch people like us. Victoria's voice had gone deadly calm. We're not just dealing with a concerned friend, Marcus. We're dealing with law enforcement. Or worse. Worse? Competition. Someone else who wants to take over our operation. Marcus started throwing clothes into his suitcase with frantic energy. So what's the plan? Disappear tonight and hope they don't find us? The plan is damage control. Victoria pulled her own phone out. I'm calling Rebecca. If someone's contacted the FBI, she needs to know her monthly payments are about to be scrutinized. My heart stopped. Rebecca, the legal wife in Phoenix who'd been receiving $2,800 monthly from our joint account. If Victoria warned her, Rebecca could withdraw everything and disappear before I ever had a chance to recover any money. Tell her to empty the Arizona accounts immediately, Victoria continued. Move everything to the Cayman Holdings before morning. Cayman Holdings. They had offshore accounts funded by all of us. Victoria dialed, putting the phone on speaker as she continued packing. David? Rebecca's voice was sleepy but alert. It's almost midnight there. What's wrong? Rebecca, listen carefully. We have a problem. Someone's been investigating our financial arrangements. What kind of someone? Federal someone. You need to liquidate everything tonight. Transfer it all to holding account 7 in Grand Cayman, then close every domestic account we share. There was a pause. When Rebecca spoke again, her voice was sharp. How much does this someone know? Enough to threaten the entire operation. How quickly can you move the money? Give me 2 hours. David, what about the properties? Properties, plural. Not just the 3 rental houses I'd found evidence of. Leave them. We can't liquidate real estate fast enough, and trying will just create more paper trails. Focus on liquid assets only. That's $4.2 million, David. Are you sure we should? $4.2 million? Marcus's voice cracked. Rebecca, our properties are worth maybe $800,000 total. Rebecca laughed. Oh, honey. You still think small time, don't you? The Phoenix operation has been running a lot longer than your little romance cons. My mouth fell open. Romance cons, plural. Marcus had been doing this to multiple women for years, and Rebecca wasn't just his legal wife, she was his business partner. How much longer? Marcus asked. Try 5 years. David, your sweet girlfriend Emma? She's number 17. Ashley makes 18. Before you started this string, we were just running property investment scams on retirees. But these Lonely Hearts cons are so much more profitable. Number 17. I was victim number 17 in a 5-year operation. Rebecca, we don't have time for explanations, Victoria interrupted. Just move the money. Already started. Banking apps are wonderful at midnight. I could hear typing in the background. David, what about the insurance policies? $500,000 each is a lot to walk away from. Too risky now. If federal investigators are involved, they'll be watching for insurance fraud. Shame. Victoria, how many policies did you set up total? Victoria hesitated. 18. 18 policies times 500,000. That's $9 million in coverage we're abandoning. $9 million. They'd taken out life insurance policies on 18 different women, all with Victoria as beneficiary under various names. Rebecca, how many women are we talking about total? Marcus's voice was barely a whisper. Currently active? 12. You're handling 5. I've got 4 retirees in Arizona, and our Seattle friend Victoria has been running 3 tech executives simultaneously. Though Rebecca Chen, Patricia Morrison, and Louise Davidson don't know about each other any more than your girls do. Victoria had been running her own cons, using variations of my name, Sarah's name, and Ashley's name as her fake identities. She wasn't just Marcus's partner, she was running parallel operations. But historically? Rebecca continued. We've processed 43 marks in 5 years. Total take has been about $12 million after expenses. $12 million. 43 women. 5 years. This wasn't just fraud. This was a sophisticated criminal enterprise, and I was trapped in a closet listening to them discuss destroying evidence of crimes that spanned multiple states and involved dozens of victims. Rebecca, I need exact numbers, Victoria said. How much can you move tonight before accounts get frozen? Domestic accounts? Maybe 3.8 million. The Cayman accounts are already secure, but those have another 4 million. Cryptocurrency wallets hold about 2 million more. Nearly $10 million. These people had stolen nearly $10 million from women like me. And how long before the Phoenix properties get scrutinized? If someone really has contacted federal investigators? Maybe 48 hours before they start pulling property records. I can have everything transferred to shell companies by then. Do it. Marcus, what about your current marks? How much immediate exposure do we have? Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Emma's got about 65,000 available between accounts and credit. Sarah maybe 40,000. Ashley's tapped out, maybe 5 left on her cards. The other 2 are smaller, maybe 30 total. $140,000 from 5 women who thought they were marrying the men they loved. That's recoverable, Rebecca said. Cut losses and run. You've got maybe 6 hours before this gets too hot to touch. 6 hours. By sunrise, Marcus Torres would be dead in a car accident and Victoria Castellanos would disappear forever, leaving me and 17 other women to figure out that our entire lives had been lies. My phone buzzed again from the living room. Another message, Victoria said. Emma, if you're listening, the meeting tomorrow is real. Come alone and bring copies of everything you found. This is your chance to help stop them. The room went dead silent. Then Marcus said what I was thinking. Whoever's texting her knows she's not responding. They know she's not reading these messages. Which means they know she's here, Victoria finished. And they want us to know they know. My phone buzzed one more time, and Victoria's voice carried clearly from the living room as she read the new message aloud. The closet in the master bedroom might be getting cramped by now. Emma, when you're ready to come out, we should talk. The blood drained from my face. Whoever was texting knew exactly where I was hiding. Someone's watching us right now, Marcus said, his voice tight with panic. They know Emma's in the closet. Victoria's heels clicked rapidly back toward the bedroom. Which means they can see us. Cameras, maybe. Or someone's in the building. I pressed myself deeper into the corner, but there was nowhere left to go. My wedding dress hung in front of me like a white flag of surrender, and I could hear Victoria's footsteps getting closer. Emma, she called sweetly, like we were old friends. I think it's time we all had a proper conversation. The closet door swung open completely, and light flooded in. Victoria stood there with a smile that didn't reach her eyes, while Marcus hovered behind her looking like he might be sick. Well, she said, looking me up and down where I crouched among my clothes. This is awkward. I tried to stand, my legs shaky from crouching for so long. I can explain. Oh, honey, no need to explain. We heard enough to know exactly what kind of situation we're all in. Victoria stepped aside as I climbed out of the closet, my hands trembling. The question is, who's your friend with a very convenient timing? I don't know what you mean. My voice cracked on every word. Marcus was staring at me like he'd never seen me before. Emma, how long were you in there? Long enough. I couldn't look at him directly. 2 years of thinking I knew this man, and now I couldn't even stand to see his face. Long enough to know about Rebecca. And Sarah. And Ashley. And the other 14 women. 17, Victoria corrected helpfully. You were number 17, not 14. It's important to be accurate about these things. My phone buzzed again, and this time Marcus held it out to me. Your mysterious friend wants to chat. The message read, Emma, you've been very brave tonight. Now it's time to be smart. Ask Victoria about the Martinez family in Portland. Ask her what happened to Elena Martinez last summer. Victoria's face went pale. How could they possibly know about Elena? Who's Elena Martinez? I asked, but something in Victoria's expression made my stomach lurch. Nobody, she said quickly. Elena was nobody. Elena Martinez was Sarah Chen's predecessor, Marcus said slowly, realization dawning on his face. The woman you were running in Portland before Sarah. The one who had the accident. Accident. The way he said it made it clear that Elena Martinez's accident hadn't been accidental at all. My phone buzzed with another message. Elena Martinez, 29, software developer. Transferred $85,000 to David Davidson 3 days before her car went off the Ross Island Bridge. Medical examiner found traces of sedatives in her blood, but the case was ruled suicide. Victoria was the last person to see her alive. I looked up at Victoria, whose perfect composure was finally cracking. You killed her. Elena was unstable, Victoria snapped. She was threatening to expose everything. She was going to ruin it for everyone. So you murdered her and made it look like suicide. I protected our operation. Elena was weak, emotional, exactly the kind of person who gets everyone caught. Marcus backed away from Victoria like she was toxic. Vic, you told me Elena killed herself because she found out about the other women. You said she couldn't handle the truth. Elena couldn't handle anything. But her death cleared the way for Sarah, and Sarah's been much more profitable. Sometimes these situations require practical solutions. Practical solutions. She was talking about murder like it was a business decision. My phone buzzed again. Emma, you need to get out of that apartment right now. Victoria killed Elena when she became inconvenient. You're about to become very inconvenient. I started backing toward the bedroom door, but Victoria moved to block my path. "Oh, I don't think so," she said. "We're not done talking yet. See, Emma, you put us in a very difficult position. You know too much, and your mysterious friend seems to know even more." "I won't tell anyone," I whispered, knowing how pathetic it sounded. Victoria laughed. "Honey, you don't have to tell anyone. Someone already has all the evidence they need. Which means you're not just a witness anymore, you're a liability." Marcus was staring at his laptop screen, his face getting paler by the second. "Vic, we have a bigger problem. Someone just transferred all the money out of our Cayman accounts." "What do you mean, transferred?" "I mean the accounts are empty. All of them. Someone moved $9.7 million in the last 20 minutes. Victoria spun around. "That's impossible. Those accounts require dual authentication." "Apparently not." Marcus turned the laptop toward us. "Look at this transfer log. Everything went to something called the Elena Martinez Memorial Fund." Elena Martinez Memorial Fund. Whoever was helping me had just stolen nearly $10 million from my tormentors and put it in an account named after their murder victim. My phone buzzed with a final message: "Justice for Elena. Justice for all of them. Emma, the FBI is waiting downstairs. Time to go." The sound of footsteps echoing in our hallway made all three of us freeze. Heavy boots, multiple pairs, moving with purpose toward our apartment. Victoria's face went from pale to ghost white as she recognized what we were hearing. "Federal agents," she whispered. "They're already here." Marcus slammed his laptop shut and grabbed his suitcase, but Victoria caught his arm. "Running now just confirms everything. We need to think." "Think about what?" Marcus hissed. "Someone's been playing us for weeks, they've stolen our money, and the FBI is about to break down our door." "What's left to think about?" A sharp knock interrupted him. "FBI. Open up." My phone buzzed one last time. "Emma, tell them about the insurance policies. Tell them about Elena Martinez. Tell them about Rebecca Davidson in Phoenix. You have everything you need to save yourself and 17 other women." Victoria looked at me with something that might have been respect if it wasn't so terrifying. "Your friend is very thorough, Emma." Almost like they'd been planning this for months. "I don't know who's helping me," I said, and it was the truth. "I just found out about all this tonight." "Did you, though?" Victoria stepped closer, and I could smell her expensive perfume mixed with something sharper: fear. "Because someone's been inside this apartment multiple times. Someone printed out those emails, planted that evidence, set up this entire scenario. Someone who knew exactly when we'd be here discussing our plans." The knocking got louder, more insistent. "This is Agent Sarah Kim with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. We have a warrant to search these premises." "Agent Sarah Kim." The name hit me like lightning. "Sarah," I breathed. "Oh my God. Sarah." Victoria's eyes narrowed. "What about Sarah?" "Sarah Kim. Agent Sarah Kim." I was talking fast now, pieces clicking together in my brain. "Sarah Chen, you're Portland Mark, that's not her real name, is it?" Marcus grabbed my arm. "What are you talking about?" "The FBI agent at the door. Her name is Sarah Kim. Sarah Chen was supposed to marry David Davidson next week, but what if Sarah Chen isn't a tech worker at all? What if she's an undercover federal agent who's been investigating you for months?" The color drained completely from Victoria's face. "That's impossible. I vetted Sarah personally. Her background, her job, her finances. Her finances that come from a federal salary instead of tech money," I continued, the realization making me dizzy. "Her corporate events that are actually bureau functions. Her daddy's wedding gift that's really taxpayer money funding a sting operation." Marcus dropped his suitcase. "If Sarah Chen is Agent Sarah Kim, then she's been recording everything," Victoria finished. "Every conversation, every financial transaction, every detail about our operation. 4 months." The knocking stopped, replaced by the sound of a key turning in our front door lock. They had keys. Of course they had keys. If Sarah Kim had been playing Sarah Chen, she'd been Victoria's tenant in Portland the same way Victoria had been my landlord here. "FBI. We're coming in." Footsteps filled our living room, and I heard Agent Kim's voice clearly now. "Apartment is secure. Subjects are in the master bedroom. Moving to apprehend." Victoria looked at Marcus with pure fury. 5 years. 5 years of perfect operations, and you had to fall for an undercover fed." "I didn't fall for anything." Marcus shot back. "You're the one who approved the Portland operation. Stop fighting and start thinking," I said, surprising myself with how steady my voice sounded. "Agent Kim has been building a case for months. She knows about Elena Martinez, about the insurance policies, about all 43 women. This isn't just fraud charges, this is racketeering. This is murder." Heavy footsteps approached our bedroom door. "Emma Torres?" Agent Kim's voice was professional but not unkind. "I'm Agent Sarah Kim with the FBI. I need you to come out slowly with your hands visible." I looked at Marcus one last time, this man I'd loved for 2 years, this stranger who'd stolen my money and my trust and my grandmother's bracelet. His face was gray with terror, but even now he was looking around the room like he might find some escape route, some last-minute con to talk his way out of this. "Emma," he said quietly. "You don't have to do this. Whatever they're promising you, we can work something out. We can disappear together, start over somewhere new." Even facing federal arrest, he was still running cons. I walked toward the bedroom door, leaving Marcus Torres behind forever. Agent Kim stood in our doorway wearing a bulletproof vest over what I recognized as the same blouse Sarah Chen had worn in her Instagram photos with David. Up close, I could see the wire running along her collar, nearly invisible unless you knew what to look for. She'd been recording everything for months. "Ms. Torres, I need you to step away from the subjects and move toward me slowly," she said, her weapon drawn but pointed at the floor. Behind her, I could see at least 4 other agents securing our living room. I took 3 steps forward before Victoria's voice stopped me cold. "Agent Kim," Victoria called out sweetly. "Or should I say, Sarah Chen? Before you arrest anyone, you might want to check your bureau's bank accounts." Agent Kim's expression didn't change, but I saw her jaw tighten slightly. "What are you talking about, MS?" Castellanos? I'm talking about the $9.7 million that mysteriously disappeared from our Cayman accounts 20 minutes ago, Victoria replied with a smile that could cut glass. Money that your investigation was supposed to recover as evidence, not steal. Victoria, shut up, Marcus hissed, but she ignored him. See, Agent Kim, I've been in this business long enough to know that federal stings don't usually involve transferring stolen funds to memorial accounts. That's not how evidence recovery works. Victoria stepped closer to where I stood frozen between them. That's how revenge works. Agent Kim's radio crackled to life, and I heard another agent's voice. Control, we have a problem. The offshore accounts the suspects were using? They've been emptied. All funds transferred to an account we can't trace. My stomach dropped. The mysterious helper who'd been texting me hadn't just exposed Marcus and Victoria's crimes, they'd stolen the evidence. Emma, Agent Kim said carefully, I need to ask you some questions about the text messages you received tonight. Can you tell me who was contacting you? I don't know, I said honestly. The messages came from blocked numbers. They told me to check my email, warned me I was in danger, said police were involved. And did you receive any instructions about financial transfers? Any requests to move money or access accounts? No, nothing like that. But even as I said it, doubt crept into my voice. The messages had been perfectly timed, the evidence perfectly planted. Someone had orchestrated this entire night. Victoria laughed. Agent Kim, you might want to consider that your mystery texter isn't trying to help Emma at all. Someone used her to flush us out, used her investigation to locate our funds, then stole everything before you could secure it as evidence. That's enough, Agent Kim said firmly. Marcus Torres, Victoria Castellanos, you're both under arrest for conspiracy to commit fraud, wire fraud, and identity theft. She nodded toward another agent. Read them their rights. But Marcus wasn't done. Agent Kim, how long have you been Sarah Chin? Because according to our records, Sarah Chan has transferred $43,000 to various wedding vendors in the last 2 months. Federal money. Taxpayer money spent on a fake wedding to a man you're investigating. Agent Kim's composure cracked for just a second. The Bureau approved all operational expenses. Did they approve your fake engagement ring? Because that's a real 2-carat diamond on your finger. I should know, I bought 5 identical rings from the same jeweler. Marcus's voice was getting stronger, like he'd found his footing. How do you think your supervisors will feel when they find out you kept the ring after the operation ended? I looked at Agent Kim's left hand. She was indeed wearing a diamond ring identical to mine, identical to Ashley's, identical to all of ours. But if she was an undercover agent, why would she keep evidence? My phone buzzed with a new message, and this time Agent Kim saw it too. May I see that message, Emma? She asked. I handed over my phone. Agent Kim's face went pale as she read, the real Sarah Chin died in a car accident 6 months ago. Check the Portland PD files. Agent Kim has been using a dead woman's identity to run her own con inside the FBI investigation. The room went completely silent. Victoria started laughing, a sound like breaking glass. Well. It looks like we're not the only ones running multiple identities. The silence stretched until Agent Kim's radio crackled again. Kim, we need you to step back from the scene. Internal Affairs wants to speak with you immediately. Her face went ashen. That won't be necessary. I'm handling the arrests according to protocol. Agent Kim, Victoria's voice was sickeningly sweet. Why don't you tell Emma about the real Sarah Chin? The one whose identity you stole after she died in that very convenient Portland car accident? Victoria, you're under arrest. You have the right to remain silent, and I suggest you use it, Agent Kim snapped, but her hand was shaking as she reached for her handcuffs. Marcus stepped forward, and for the first time since I'd known him, he looked genuinely confident. Agent Kim, or whoever you really are, here's what I think happened. You were investigating our operation, got a little too deep undercover as Sarah Chin, and realized just how much money was flowing through our accounts. So when the real Sarah Chin died, you decided to keep playing her while skimming from the top. That's absurd, Agent Kim said, but her voice lacked conviction. My phone buzzed again. The message read, Emma, check Agent Kim's bank account. Sarah Chin made a $15,000 deposit yesterday from the Elena Martinez Memorial Fund. The same fund that received the stolen Cayman money. I felt the world tilt. You took money from the Memorial Fund. Elena Martinez's Memorial Fund. Agent Kim's jaw tightened. I don't know what you're talking about. The fund that was supposed to be justice for Elena, I continued, pieces clicking together with horrible clarity. You created it to steal their money, didn't you? You weren't trying to recover evidence, you were pulling your own heist. Victoria was practically glowing with vindication. Emma, darling, meet Agent Kim, or Sarah Chin, or whoever she really is today. Turns out we weren't the only ones running a long con. Another agent appeared in the doorway. Kim, Internal Affairs is here. They want to speak with you about discrepancies in the operational budget and some very interesting financial transfers. Agent Kim's confident facade finally cracked completely. This is ridiculous. I've been undercover for 8 months building this case. These are dangerous criminals trying to deflect blame. Then explain the $43,000 in unauthorized wedding expenses, the other agent said. And the Cayman account transfers that happened during our operation. And why Sarah Chen's death certificate shows she died 6 months before you started using her identity. My phone buzzed one final time. Emma, the Elena Martinez Memorial Fund was a lie. Agent Kim created it to steal the money for herself. The real Elena Martinez is very much alive and working with Portland PD. She's been helping us build this case for months. Elena's alive? I breathed, looking at Victoria whose face had gone chalk white. That's impossible, Victoria whispered. I saw her car go into the river. I watched her. You watched a carefully staged operation, another voice said from our living room. A woman with dark hair and kind eyes stepped into view, flanked by 2 Portland police officers. Elena Martinez, Portland PD, working with the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. Though apparently not all of the FBI. Elena Martinez was alive, standing in my living room, very much not murdered by Victoria Castellanos. Marcus started laughing, a sound that bordered on hysteria. So let me get this straight. We thought we were conning Sarah, but Sarah was an FBI agent conning us, but then Elena, who we thought was dead, was actually conning all of us, including the FBI agent who was stealing from her own investigation? Elena smiled grimly. Something like that. Agent Kim went rogue months ago when she realized how much money your operation was moving. She's been skimming from evidence accounts while building her case against you. But who sent me the text messages? I asked, my head spinning from trying to follow all the deceptions. That would be me, Elena said. We've been monitoring this apartment for weeks, waiting for the right moment to move. When Agent Kim accelerated her timeline to steal the offshore money, we had to act fast. Agent Kim was backing toward our bedroom window now, her weapon drawn but pointed at the floor. This is all speculation. You can't prove any of this. Actually, we can, Elena said calmly. Because you've been wearing a wire for months, just like you were supposed to. The only difference is that we've been recording everything you said and did, not just what our suspects said. Including your phone calls to your own offshore accounts. Victoria looked at Agent Kim with something approaching admiration. I have to say, using an FBI investigation to cover your own theft operation was brilliant. Too bad you got greedy. Says the woman who murdered 17 people for insurance money, Agent Kim shot back. 17 attempted murders, Elena corrected. All of your victims are very much alive, Ms. Castellanos. We've been protecting them for months while building this case. Though some of them are going to be very disappointed when they find out their weddings are cancelled. My knees gave out, and I sat down hard on our bedroom floor. Ashley's okay? And Rebecca? All of them? All of them. Rebecca Davidson has been cooperating with us for 6 months. She's the one who first contacted the FBI when she realized the scope of what her husband was doing. Elena's expression softened as she looked at me. Emma, you were never in any real danger. We've been watching this apartment and all of Marcus's other locations since January. Marcus stared at her in disbelief. Rebecca's been working with you? My wife has been working with the FBI? Your wife who you've been stealing from for 2 years, Elena pointed out. Turns out she's much smarter than you gave her credit for. As if on cue, my phone rang. The caller ID showed Rebecca Davidson. Elena nodded at me. Go ahead and answer it. She's been waiting to talk to you. I stared at my phone screen, Rebecca's name flashing like a beacon in the chaos of our bedroom. Around me, federal agents were handcuffing Marcus while Victoria argued with Elena about evidence protocols, and Agent Kim stood cornered by our window looking like she might bolt at any second. Answer it, Elena encouraged gently. She's been worried about you. My hand shook as I swiped to accept the call. Hello? Emma? Oh, thank God. Rebecca's voice was warm, nothing like the calculating partner I'd heard earlier on speaker. Are you okay? Elena said things got complicated tonight. I don't know what I am, I admitted, watching Marcus being led away in handcuffs. Rebecca, I heard you talking to Victoria earlier. About the money, the properties. Rebecca sighed deeply. That was an act, honey. I've been feeding information to the FBI for months, but I had to maintain my cover as David's willing partner. Everything you heard tonight, the offshore accounts, the property transfers, it was all designed to get them to reveal the full scope of their operation. The $4.2 million? Every penny is accounted for and will be returned to the victims. Well, most of it anyway. Her voice turned angry. Agent Kim managed to skim about $300,000 before Elena's team caught on. I looked at Agent Kim, who was now being read her rights by Internal Affairs. She was stealing from her own investigation? Classic inside job, Rebecca said. She got too close to the operation and decided to take her cut. The Elena Martinez Memorial Fund was her way of laundering the stolen money. She figured no one would question transfers to a victim's memorial account. But Elena's not dead. Very much alive and very good at her job. Emma, she's been protecting all of us for months. Every time one of David's marks got too close to the truth, Elena's team would intervene quietly. You weren't the first to discover evidence in that apartment. My head was spinning. What do you mean? Ashley found bank statements 3 weeks ago. Sarah found emails 2 months ago. Each time, Elena made sure they were safely relocated before David could panic and run. Rebecca's voice was gentle. You were the last piece of the puzzle, Emma. They needed David and Victoria to reveal their endgame before making arrests. Through our bedroom window, I watched Victoria being escorted to a police car. Even in handcuffs, she maintained perfect posture, like this was just another inconvenience in her day. Rebecca, can I ask you something personal? I said quietly. Of course. Did you ever love him? David, or Marcus, or whoever he really is? The pause was long enough that I thought the call had dropped. Then Rebecca laughed, but it wasn't cruel. Emma, I married a man named David Davidson 7 years ago. He was sweet, charming, a little lost but trying to build something better for himself. That man died somewhere along the way, and I've been living with his replacement ever since. So you stayed to help catch him? I stayed because 43 women deserve justice. Elena showed me photos of all of you, young women with your whole lives ahead of you, women like Ashley who'd given everything they had to marry a ghost. Her voice wavered. I couldn't let him destroy any more lives. Elena appeared beside me, holding out her hand for the phone. Rebecca? It's Elena. We need Emma to come down to the Portland field office tomorrow for her statement. Can you meet us there? I could hear Rebecca's response clearly, wouldn't miss it. And Elena? Tell Emma her grandmother's bracelet has been recovered. It's waiting for her in evidence. My grandmother's sapphire bracelet. The last piece of my family history that I'd sacrificed for a wedding that was never going to happen. Elena handed me back the phone. Emma, I know this is overwhelming, but you should know, you're going to be okay. All of Marcus's victims are going to be okay. But as I looked around our destroyed bedroom, at the wedding dress hanging in the closet where I'd hidden while listening to plans for my own destruction, I wondered if okay was something I'd ever really understand again. 3 months later, I stood in a Portland courtroom watching Marcus Torres, whose real name turned out to be Martin Thompson, receive a sentence of 15 years in federal prison. Victoria Castellanos got 12 years. Agent Kim, whose actual name was Jennifer Walsh, received 8 years for theft of federal funds and obstruction of justice. But the real victory happened 2 weeks earlier, when Elena Martinez handed me a check for $73,847. This is your portion of the recovered funds, she'd explained as we sat in the FBI field office conference room. Around the table were 17 other women, all of Martin's victims, ranging from Ashley the pediatric nurse to Margaret, a 67-year-old widow from Sacramento who thought she was marrying a retirement planner named Mark Davis. How did you calculate the amounts? Asked Sarah Kim, the real Sarah Kim, and software engineer who'd been played by the fake agent Sarah Kim for months. The identity theft had gone so deep that even I was confused about who was who. Elena pulled out a thick folder. Every transaction was tracked. Bank transfers, wedding expenses, gifts, even the engagement rings, which were all purchased wholesale for $127 each, not the $3,000 he claimed they cost. Ashley held up her ring, the same design I'd treasured for 8 months. $127? I took out a personal loan thinking this was a family heirloom. Martin Thompson has no family, Elena said gently. No grandmother, no relatives in Ohio, no tragic backstory. He's a career criminal who's been running romance scams since 2018. Rebecca Davidson sat at the head of the table, no longer the calculating partner from that terrible night but a tired woman who'd spent 2 years helping the FBI build an airtight case. The hardest part was pretending not to know about all of you, she said quietly. Watching him plan weddings, seeing him practice his proposals, knowing how much pain he was about to cause. You saved us, said Carmen, a teacher from Denver who'd been engaged to Michael Davis for 6 months. If you hadn't contacted the FBI. Rebecca shook her head. Elena saved us. I just provided information. Elena Martinez, very much alive, very much a brilliant investigator, smiled. We all saved each other. This was the largest romance fraud case in Oregon history, but more importantly, it's over. My phone buzzed with a text from Katie, my best friend who'd been fielding my emotional breakdowns for months. How did it go? Are you okay? I looked around the table at 17 women who'd been lied to, manipulated, and financially devastated by someone they trusted completely. Women who'd sold family heirlooms, emptied savings accounts, and mortgaged their futures for weddings that were never meant to happen. But we weren't victims anymore. We were survivors, witnesses, the reason Martin Thompson would never con another woman again. I'm okay, I typed back. And for the first time in months, I meant it. The settlement money would cover my debts and rebuild my savings. My grandmother's bracelet was being returned next week. My apartment lease was in my name only now. It turned out Victoria had been subletting to me illegally for months. Most importantly, I'd learned the difference between love and manipulation, between trust and naivety, between romantic gestures and calculated deceptions. As we left the courthouse that day, Ashley caught up with me on the steps. Emma, I know this sounds crazy, but do you want to get coffee sometime? Not to talk about him, just normal conversation between normal people? I smiled, the first genuine smile I'd felt in months. I'd like that. Just promise me one thing. What's that? No mysterious phone calls, no secret bank accounts, and definitely no fake relatives in Ohio. Ashley laughed. Deal. Just 2 women who survived the same liar, having coffee like regular humans. Regular humans. After months of questioning everything I believed about love, trust, and my own judgment, that sounded absolutely perfect.